Thanks for joining me today on Backroads Tourist. Jeff here, and I'm dedicating today's video to my dad, Leo. My dad was a ferroequinologist, and he would have loved visiting this place. What's a ferroequinologist, you might ask? Well, hang on, I'll tell you. Ferroequinology comes from the Latin ferrum, which means iron, and equus, which means horse. In other words, an interest in iron horses, more commonly known as trains. If you're a train enthusiast, like my dad was, you're gonna love this video. When I was about 5 or 6, my dad would come home from a long day at work, and he was a welder. And after dinner, we'd go out and we'd sit on the porch. Sometimes in the distance, we'd hear a train whistle, and that was kind of our signal. My dad knew that if we got in the car right away and took certain streets, we'd have just enough time to make it to a parking lot down by the hospital before the train passed by. Then we'd sit there and we'd wait for the train to arrive. And it didn't take very long because my dad had everything timed out. I knew that the more engines there were, the longer the train would be. And when there were a lot of engines, it made me happy because that meant I got to spend more time with my dad. When the train came into sight, I remember the feeling of excitement and then counting the cars one by one as they passed by our parking spot. It was a bonding moment between father and son, and it didn't cost anything other than the gas it took to drive a couple of miles. It's a memory that I still have all these years later, and I think that maybe there's a lesson in that. My dad passed away in 1981, and my fascination with trains never reached the same level as his, but when I had the chance to visit the world's largest rail yard, I knew that I had to do it just to honor my dad. The Golden Spike Tower in North Platte, Nebraska overlooks RAILYARD, the world's largest rail yard. It covers 2,850 acres. It's 8 miles long and has 315 miles of track. 10,000 rail cars roll through here each day, and the train operation and repair shops are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Things get so busy that the fueling and service center processes more than 9,000 locomotives each month. It's almost an understatement to say that this place is massive. The 8th floor of the Golden Spike Tower gives you an elevated enclosed view of the rail yard. But if you go down 1 floor to the 7th floor, you'll find an open-air viewing area where you can not only see, but also hear the trains as they pass through the yard. Unfortunately, this is about as close as you can get to the trains. Why they don't want crazy tourists running around the world's busiest rail yard is beyond me, but hey, it's their place and it's their rules. If you could find it in the goodness of your heart to give this video a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to the Backroads Tourist channel? Every week I take you with me to fun, interesting, offbeat, and quirky places all across this great country of ours. I also put out weekly videos on cruising for those of you who prefer the high seas over the steel rails. Subscribe today so you don't miss any of the videos I have coming up. Inside the tower, train enthusiasts will find plenty of train-related displays. One thing they cover is the role of trains in the war effort during World War II. You'll also find a display case filled with models of historic locomotives. There's even a display from a classic Union Pacific dining car. Down on the main floor, there are even more exhibits that chronicle the early years and growth of the railroad. And of course, don't forget the gift shop. If you have someone on your gift list who is a ferroequinologist, you don't need to look anyplace else for the ideal present. Now here's a tip. As you're strolling through the gift shop, make sure you look up. They have a model train set up, and for the price of a few tokens, you can make that train take a few laps around the gift shop. Outside the tower, there's a picnic area and a few other interesting railroad attractions, including a railroad car, a train-themed children's play area, and other railroad-related items. Like I said before, my dad would have loved visiting this place, and if you have an affinity for trains, I hope that you've enjoyed this video visit too. Thanks again for watching. Dad, this one's for you. I'm Leo's son, Jeff, and I'll see you on the back roads.